everyone, it's Desiree, and I'm back with another video. We're going to focus on Sunny Studios and this adorable stamp set of the cups with hugs and so forth. Yeah, I forget the name of the stamp set, but it's too cute. So we're going to start out by stamping my images. I'm using the Simon Says Intense Black ink because that's friendly with alcohol markers. And I'm going to actually use a new set of alcohol markers that I'm trying out here. So I stamped 3 candy canes. I stamped each of the different mugs and carriers for coffee, because right now in the crunch of the holidays, you can't have enough of coffee here. So the sentiment. So the sentiment originally states, wishing you a cup of cheer. I have 3 coffee containers there. So to me, that just didn't sound right. I know, it does, but it just didn't to me. So I'm going to ink up the sentiment, but I'm covering up the A with a Post-it note. So when I stamp it, it's going to say, wishing you cup of cheer. Now, the way I talk, that sounds normal, because that's something that I would say and say it that way. But what I'm going to do is, once I have that down, I do notice that there's a little smudge. The Tombow Mono sand eraser, awesome. Best purchase. Again, you can get tons of them, very inexpensive. Can't recommend highly enough. And then I pulled out my micron pen and I added an S to the cups, or to cup. So now it says, wishing you cups of cheer. See? So we're going to set that aside before we get to the coloring. And I'm going to use my Vintage Photo Distress ink. And I pulled out my Desiree wood grain embossing folder. And I'm going to put ink on one side and set down my scrap piece of craft recollections paper. And I'm going to run that through my Big Shot. And you can see the ink went to the inside. So I've actually got a wood grain feel going on there. So we're going to set that aside. Lots of steps in this one. So now I remembered I need to stamp the takeout mug one more time because I want to use the cozy, and that's a scrap of Nina Desert Storm, and I'm going to go around the edges with my black soot distress marker just so that it's clear and it's solid on the sides. I pulled out my 2-inch Post-it tape because I found it, yep, cleaned, and I'm going to be using Tumbled Glass Distress ink, and I'm going to use a round blender. And I'm going to start on the Post-it tape, and I'm going to come up onto my card base where my images are going to set. And this is just going to give me a soft glow of that pale blue. Again, if I went right to the card, it would be a very blotchy. You would have that spot of the blender. So you start out on the Post-it and then just slowly smooth your way up. Yes, you are putting ink on the Post-it, but you're also picking that up as you're going. We all love when we pull off the Post-it tape, and we do this. And I'm going to grab my distress sprayer and just put a little bit of some drops on there, just a few, not too many. And now I want to set my wood grain panel onto the bottoms, because this is where the mugs are going to sit. I wanted them to have a base, so it's making it look like it's a table, or maybe the floor, who knows. So I'm going to use my Tombow Mono permanent tape runner, and then I'm going to trim off the edge. I'm going to be using a set from Gina Marie Designs, and I encourage everyone to check this out. One of my followers told me about this site, and wow, that whole entire set of dies was $10. So please, I encourage you to check out her site. But here we're using fun foam to prop up our base because I want that set in place before we go any further. This double-sided tape that I'm using is from Joann's, actually. They're gearing up, at least mine. It's not a big store. It's not one of those super stores, but they're building up their paper crafting area. And for like 20 to 30 yards, I forget which it is, it's only $2. So awesome. And it is strong. I'm off-centered when I placed this down, and I just had to go with it. There was no way I could pull that off. So that's how I attach my fun foam. So we're going to chit-chat a little bit. So Stampin' Up! Has now come out once again with alcohol markers. They did this previously. And I think they went awry there. Now, we all know that I'm a Prismacolor alcohol marker fan. I do like Copics, but I can't remortgage my house. And I am a person that I do have to have all the colors, or the majority of the colors, if not all the colors. So you can see that the Prismacolor does have a brush tip, and it has a bullet tip. That's the other reason why I like the Prismacolors, because of the bullet tip and the brush tip. Copics have a chisel tip, and I don't like the chisel tip. It's not useful. I wouldn't use it. And I'm not going to pay the money to switch it out, because then that makes each marker close to $9 when they're like $7.99. Yes, you can get them down to $5, but still, $7 changing out all those tips. Not going to happen. So Stampin' Up! Came out with their markers. Now, what's nice is it's 2 colors per shades that they came out, and they came out right now with 12 shades. So I really sped up through this. You're gonna watch how I color these, and I'll continue to explain the markers. So in this case, the color that I'm using here for the candy canes is called Cherry Cobbler. So what they did, they came out with light Cherry Cobbler and dark Cherry Cobbler, and that's it. And to me, I like that. It's the same name. You've got it. Now, Copic does have a great numbering system as well. Prismacolor does not. You do have to make your color chart, and you do have to say, okay, this is going to go with this, and then to remember it, you create other color charts, which I'm okay with, because I still do love the Prismacolors. But what's great is I am one to use 2 colors to blend, because I'll do the tip to tip to get my medium shade. Or I'll put it on an acrylic block to pick up that shade to get my medium shade. I don't need 3 or 4 colors. I'm not the star alcohol blender. I'm very, very basic, and I'm good with 2 colors. The Stampin' Ups have 12 colors with a light and dark each. So that's a total of 24 markers. They also have a set for the blender, a bronze, and an ivory. Now, the bronze is a dark brown. The ivory, of course, is light. I'm actually using that here with the blender because I want to see how the blender functions, and it functions awesome. It's very good. I'm using the Smoky Slate here for the center cup. Again, 2 shades, and I'm just working with the 2 shades. They also have a Pool shade and a Bermuda Bay, which are very close. So in that case, you could actually have 4 colors, and I tested that on the square mug, and you'll see that. They have a brush tip, and they have an awesome bullet tip on the end of their markers. You can see the 4 colors right there to the side. I'm in love with their bullet tip. I think they're very easy to use. They are $4.50 a piece. Now, if you get the whole set of 27 markers, it's $121, which I don't think is that bad. Each individual marker is $4.50, and you can buy them in sets of 2. So if you buy the sets of 2, you would get the light and the dark Cherry Cobbler, no thinking there, for $9. So you can build it up. I'm really hoping they build on this collection. I'm very pleased with it. Just wanted to give you that information. I know we look for alternatives, and we also creatures that we have to have every color. But this is this craft and this wonderful creativity that we get ourselves into. It can be money chunker. So there's always different ways to do it. Again, I still am in love with my Prismacolors. They average about $3.30 a piece at Dick's. And I still do love them as well. The problem is with them, they are not refillable. I am hoping that the Stampin' Up! Markers are going to be refillable, but that's okay. The amount of time that we use them and what we use them for, you know, they'll last a long time for us. So I hope that helped. Again, just information out there. If you want to know more, let me know. I'll put a link down below. So I'm taking the 1 mug and I'm putting a slice in the whipped cream so that I can put the candy cane through it. You know me, gotta be creative and cut into things and change it and mold it and all of that. I'm going to use my art glitter glue to glue down the coffee cozy onto the takeout coffee mug. And I grabbed my real red Stampin' Up ink, and I'm going to stamp one of the snowflakes from the set down onto the center of the coffee cozy. We're going to set the sentiment in place just so we know where that is, so that when we're positioning our cups, we're not up too high. So the takeout's going flat down. We're going to add foam squares to the back of the cup to the left, the way that you're looking at it. And then I'm just adding just a dab of glue so that these two candy canes stick together, because they're going to look like they're leaning up against or propped in front of the teal mug. And you can see I'm not that great of a blender, but then again, I was doing this really quick. But that's a quick coloring, quick. So now we're going to set the candy canes in place, making sure on the edges that are on the table are propped up with foam tape, because the teal mug is propped up. And then once that's set, we're going to work on the sentiment. So of course, I've got to prop that up too. So we're going to use some foam squares, and I've got to curl up the edges, as I always do on my fishtails. But I also do encourage, so I'm giving you lots of information, and yep, letting you know, spend money. Check out the Gina Marie Designs. She does have a wonky, and again, it was one of my followers. Thank you. I know you know who you are, who told me about her site, and $10 for all of those dies is absolutely phenomenal, and she's got some really neat designs. So I'll have her link below too. Please check her out. I finished this card up with some Spectrum Noir on the candy canes and the whipped cream. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, hit the thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I'd love you to stick around to see what we create together and talk about what we create and how we create it. So again, yes, a wonderful follower told me about that site. I encourage you to check that out. She's also the same one that talked to me about the Brother Scan and Cut. I hope everyone's having a great time during our crunch. If you have a comment, please list that below. Everything I used will also be listed in the description. And always remember, be creative.